My name is Dr. Chuck Gardner. I'm the Medical Officer of Health for the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit. And I'm all for active transportation. I'm for it from a professional perspective. The health unit is very active in promoting active transportation. We see many public health benefits to it. It's a way of having people be more physically active in their lives. If they're able to get around to meet their needs on a daily basis by active means, by walking or cycling or inline skating or by some other means that allows them to exert their muscles, then they're going to be healthier for it. And if our communities set it up so that they can do it in a safe way that's inviting and pleasant for them, then we're going to get a lot more people doing it, and they're going to be able to do it safely. I'm also all for it on a personal level because I do it. I enjoy cycling to work for most of the year when the conditions allow. You know, I feel privileged that I'm able to do this, and I feel privileged that it matches my work as well, that it fits with the messages that we're giving in public health. And we're delighted that our municipalities, such as Simcoe County, but also Barrie, Orillia, and Muskoka, have an interest in looking at what they can do to make active transportation a part of everybody's lives.
We've built trails from Collingwood to Stayner, a little bit outside Stayner, around New Lowell, and we've just currently built trails from Creemore to the edge of this county forest, which is on center line, which is halfway to New Lowell. The healthier lifestyle is extremely important in today's society, and by building an infrastructure that promotes health and fitness, getting to schools safely, the county as well as the township is enhancing health.
Certainly from the Parks and Recreation point of view, we've worked hard at including on road construction to include bicycle lanes. And certainly within our parks here in the Innisfil Beach Park, we have a trail that separates the bikers from the walkers. And as well, throughout our subdivisions, we've included trails in the environmentally protected areas and ravines and so on that have been developed by the developers, connecting a community or neighborhood to a neighborhood and getting people out of their cars and on their bikes and walking to and from perhaps school or to a store or whatever the case may be. When the Innisfil Beach Road was designed, we were encouraged to include bicycle lanes on both sides of the roads, so that people again are off the portion of the traveled portion of the road, that they're in we hope a safe area where they know that cars aren't going to be driving.
So the town of Midland recently formed an active transportation committee with various representatives from the community, and that committee is in the process of developing an active transportation manual and policies for council's consideration and ultimately adoption. So we're well on our way to encouraging and developing active transportation as a formal policy for the municipality. We have almost 20 kilometers of trails in the town of Midland that are maintained by our Parks Department. Most of that is paved or concrete. We have a wonderful waterfront trail system that connects us with Tay Township right through the town of Midland and also connects us with the town of Penetanguishene. We have another wonderful paved trail through our major park, Little Lake Park, that is very well used by walkers and joggers and cyclists, so it certainly promotes active transportation with the trail system.
In Essa Township, we've opened up a canoe route in the Pine River leading to the Nottawasaga River, emptying into Georgian Bay down at Wasaga Beach. We've created a canoe launch here in the Pine River, but it's not just for canoe enthusiasts. Certainly kayakers and paddle boarding is becoming very popular. And we also offer terrific fishing here along the rivers.
The City of Barrie has been quite active with active transportation in the fact that with Barrie Transit, they've installed bike racks on all of their buses. I think it enables our community to become more healthy and active, as well as helping our environment and controlling the pollution by letting people ride their bicycles instead of using their cars.
Well, we've finally got the link started for the Trans-Canada Trail, which is going to give us some good, green, healthy activity for people to keep them healthy with skiing. Come winter, hikers are already out. We've had cyclists, and we'll have an equestrian piece on the trail as well when it's finished. it's healthy. We want people to get out. We want to keep them healthy. We want to have people being able to take alternate transportation. They can get on their bicycle anywhere in New Tecumseh.
Since 2009, the County of Simcoe has made available over $800,000 in the Trails Connecting Communities program, and that money is offered to the local municipalities towards the construction or enhancement of trails, and in particular trails that link communities and adjacent municipalities to one another. Examples of benefiting trails would be Utah Trail in the Township of Severn, which connects the communities of Coldwater and Wabasheen, in addition to a trail in Clearview connecting Creemore and New Lowell, 2 kilometers of that. I think active transportation is very important, and the county as an upper tier municipality to offer incentive for that is important as well, because it provides options, and in particular safe options for transportation to get to one place to another. Personally, I find active transportation contributes towards a sense of community.
About 3 years ago, the town developed a Trails Master Plan for the whole municipality, and it's provided great direction for us in delivering trails within new neighborhoods, between existing neighborhoods, and even between broader communities, both within our municipality and connect to those areas around us. This trail, this boardwalk, is a section of trail in a new neighborhood here called Summerlin, and it's been highly used by the residents in the neighborhood to get around within their area, as well as to connect over to lands to the east where we have a new library and leisure center. Our council has identified active transportation as a priority for them. They struck a committee to advise them on how to not only implement physical networks like this, but promote a much healthier lifestyle for our community.
Here in the township of Georgian Bay, we've, within the last several years, built out the Point Au Pain Schoolhouse Trail, which we are currently standing on, which includes this wonderful water crossing. Given that we are the gateway to the Georgian Bay Biosphere Reserve, we definitely have some sensitive areas and some unique species to Georgian Bay. The trail also enables our children to get access to what I would call an outdoor classroom, given that this environment all around us, being part of the Biosphere Reserve, there's access for them to now walk the trail and interact with those species. We identified this as a major active transportation piece or benchmark. And through that, we were able to have the District of Muskoka active transportation plan amended to include this trail link. So this piece of active transportation, being both included in policy and in its physical state, puts Georgian Bay on the map.
Well, to start with this, I would consider this is the Cadillac of active transportation for people that like to get out and get some fresh air. And this trail is surrounding our municipal offices on 30 Side Road, just off Highway 50, and it's something that is very visible and very well used, and along with the sports fields and the place for the kids to play, they can play and the parents can do their walking. So it's kind of a combination of being able to do a lot of things and feel comfortable and safe at the same time of doing them. Well, I think if you look at a lot of people, they're very inactive, and this is a way of being able to get them involved and get them active and try and get away from that couch potato style, and I think we're doing our part in Agilita Serrano.
One of the things that jumped up to and became evident to us was that we had a lot of trails in town, but there was no focus on pulling them together. The goals were not only to create a signage system that citizens and tourists could follow, but to actually link it to other municipalities and to define the existing trails and define the trails that would be coming on stream. So the end product is on the town website. You have pages that you can go to, and they are descriptions of each trail. There's photographs of the types of trails. It will identify what type of users, whether it's pedestrian, cyclist, skateboarder, barrier-free, and it will have a write-up
of the trail itself. It will show how that trail is linked with other trails in town. The idea is not just to keep the citizens healthy and not just to keep them out of their cars. It's finding alternate ways to get from A to B and healthy ways to get from A to B.
To get a start on active transportation in Huntsville, we've engaged a group of Ryerson students who are planning students who have helped devise a strategy for us of all the things we could do around town to implement active transportation facilities. That's really gotten the discussion going for us in terms of what we need, what the citizens of Huntsville want, and what's possible for us here and going forward. As first projects in that, we've proposed that to pave some shoulders coming into town to connect to the regional cycling network. We've also put some bike locking devices on some of the old parking posts around town. And in the next year or so, the town dock is going to be redone, and so we're talking about making that a hub for active transportation. There are so many reasons why active transportation is important. You know, there's the really obvious ones like health and fitness and all the repercussions that has. In Huntsville, we have a couple of days in the tourist season where we do close the main street down, and the businesses around on the main street have started to see that really does benefit their business in terms of the amount that's spent there and creating that sense of community and places where people can congregate and celebrate in the summer.
So our focus essentially was on paved shoulders and not sidewalks. Sidewalks are a local municipality item. We put together a whole list of potential roads that were good for active transportation, good for bicycling. Anytime we pave a road or widen a road or do any road work, if it's on the list, active transportation list, no arguments, it just gets done and it's funded through the Public Works Department. It's a challenge in Muskoka, and particularly distances are quite great, is to try and get people out of their cars and onto their bikes to get to work. It's new in Muskoka, and I think it's important that politicians, committee members, senior management are all aware of it, and it's taken a little bit of time, but I see the momentum happening, and local municipalities are pushing forward as well, putting a pressure on the district, which is great to see that we promote it in and around some of the smaller communities, some of the villages. We're sharing costs to make it happen.
So over the years, Bracebridge has been supporting active transportation in many ways. And just recently in this, I guess since 2010, the town struck an active transportation committee. A few years ago now, the town hosted an active transportation symposium and brought in a gentleman by the name of Dan Burden, who is well known in active transportation circles for his work that he calls complete streets. And he refers to traffic circles quite commonly as a way to create better traffic flow. And so it's just a proven way to move people more efficiently, and that overall has just ripple effects throughout the transportation system for cyclists and pedestrians too.
Okay, we've had a couple of projects on the go. The big one has been the continuous development of our section of the Trans-Canada Trail, we call the Utah Trail, which now runs all the way from City of Orillia through the township up to Wabashine. We added a recent section from Coldwater to Wabashine. We're doing some improvements to the trail on an ongoing basis. We've also we're in the process of adopting a new transportation master plan, which has a significant piece about active transportation and trying to enhance the use of trails and cycling and pedestrian access, developing sidewalk connections, trail connections, all that good stuff, and even looking towards identifying potential canoe routes and then bringing that forward and linking it into promoting tourism for visitors and access to opportunities for our residents. I think it's very important. It's something that's growing, and I think the benefits for both the residents and the community, as well as businesses in the community is significant.
Well, the Township of Tay in the recent years produced a 18.5 kilometer paved trail through the communities of Wabashine, Victoria Harbour and Port Manickle. It's a multi-use trail. Motorized vehicles are not allowed on the trail. So we promoted active transportation by connecting the communities within the township. As well, it connected our community to the town of Midland, and to the other side of us, it connected us to Coldwater, Orillia. So now residents from all over Ontario get on our trail, and they can go as far as Orillia, all the way over to Tiny Township on the far side of us. So lots of trail to use, and again, our section of trail is paved, so it is multi-use. We get walkers, bikers, rollerbladers, mothers with pushing their strollers. So it's been a very, very successful trail within our township.
Well, we've done amazing things in the city of Orillia. Everyone knows the Gordon Lightfoot Trail, but we continue to build the trail system. And this year, or actually in 2012, we built the West Ridge Boulevard Trail, which is directly behind me. It's about 2.7 kilometers in length, and it's a 3-meter wide path that's maintained year-round. And it's just one of those success stories that we're really pleased with. Well, I think it's fundamental in the success and really the health of the community. We know that people that are active are much more healthier, and through the trail system it has other wonderful aspects in terms of social. You can get out, go out in the evening, meet your neighbors, get together with your girlfriends or boyfriends down the street, have a walking club, get out bike riding, so it's terrific.
The town of Penetanguishene, considering the historic nature of the town's infrastructure, with century-old infrastructure underneath its main street and underneath one of its core arterial streets, Robert Street, it's using that need to update that infrastructure as a catalyst and as a launch pad to increase walkability and bikeability within the town's downtown core by making simple design changes along the main street. Through a Main Street revitalization program, the town can optimize how people can move and function in the downtown core. It's a great tool not only to increase the population health, but it's a great catalyst towards creating better communities, because what it does is it brings people back into their communities and outside of their buildings, because it creates areas where people like to be rather than vehicles.
Collingwood was looking at active transportation many years ago, probably 30, 35, but they didn't call it active transportation, they called it trail development. So at that period of time, we were looking for the opportunities from both a recreational opportunity and a tourism opportunity to transform space throughout the municipality and old railway lines and creek beds, et cetera, to provide a linked system of trails and pathways. So our active transportation plan took us probably 25 or 30 years, but at the end of it, we have about 75 kilometers of great walking and biking trails. I've worked for Simcoe County in trying to put together a two-headed master plan on trails. The one aspect was about the local trails amenity for local folks to be able to get around their own communities and enjoy that healthy activity level. The other one that carries a little bit of economic impact to it was linking all those communities together to provide a huge opportunity for bed and breakfasts, restaurants, hotels, motels, and to be able to sell our region as one of the best interconnected trail centers in Canada.
By far, the township is probably one of the few municipalities in the county of Simcoe that actually has an active trails and active transportation master plan, and it's actively involved through the committee to implement the various items that were identified as priorities. When we did the master plan, one of the recommendations right off the hop was to develop a Trails and Active Transportation Committee. And so that was initiated in 2011 when the master plan was approved. And also, as a result of the master plan, we also talked about starting to have people become more aware of our trail. So so what we've talked about is getting a wayfinding master plan in place. And what we want to do with a wayfinding master plan is to really get a comprehensive signage system on our trail so that our folks in Tiny and outside of Tiny have a very clear understanding of where they are, where they need to be, what they can see. In the master plan, we also looked at partnerships that we could create with groups who could help us in maintenance and in funding for various projects that we want along our trail. When we looked at the trail, we also realized that our trail is linear, and to make it a true active transportation project, we need to really look at loops. We're presently now in the Bernie LeClaire Parquet, and this was kind of seen as one of the key entries to our trail. And so we're looking at really enhancing this site. And I think with time, you're going to see that this is a very well-recognized hub where people can meet and talk about being active and start walking the trails.
Active transportation is a little bit different for us being in a rural environment. Most of the people in our community have to drive to get to where they want to go. Over the last probably 5 or 6 years, we've done quite a bit in terms of active transportation and infrastructure. The Oromodonte Rail Trail, which we're currently standing on, connects us to the cities of Barrie and Orillia. It's a 28-kilometer trail. The other major thing that we do is looking at connecting our communities to the recreational assets and community assets within our community. Most recently, we've developed a policy framework in partnership with the health unit that really sets the context for future development and future direction relating to active transportation. Looking at partnering with developers, providing those linkages in new development. We have a significant amount of recreational trail in the municipality here, both at the municipal level within the county forests and the Copeland Forest up around Horseshoe Valley. So we're looking at how do we connect and really build a network, both for recreation and active transportation.
And so what we need to do is to make sure that we partner with groups that are trying to do something. And I can tell you from all the information I've ever seen, to get people out and active, there has to be a social component to it. And so the groups that are getting together to work and develop trails, the groups that are, for example, on the hiking, groups that have regular hiking trips are people are significant in getting that social experience together. So the notion is that we are willing and sort of have the structures in place to allow those kinds of things to happen. We also are finding that there are a number of groups that are taking what seems like really longer expeditions is the right word for it. For example, on the rail trail here right now, this has now become a pilgrimage route that you can travel to the Martyrs Shrine in Penetanguishene. So we partnered with that group. One of the big things that we did in infrastructure was to pave virtually most of our roads. And so what's happening is that we're getting cyclists coming here, and we have to make it safe for them to be on the roads with cars. And so we have a grant right now that we're working through the RTO7 that would be a template for the rest of the county to potentially use and to make it safer. And the other part is the education aspect that we need to do as well. So we've done a lot to encourage that really active lifestyle.
I firmly support getting out, working, getting off the couch, getting your kids involved, getting your family involved. I know the cost of hospitals, and I think it's $1,200 a day for somebody being in a hospital, and a lot of that is just caused by being overweight and not active. And I think for every dollar that a township would spend on something like trails, active way of living, you could probably save $10 down the road. Our main trail, the one from Atherley, I think it was started in 2005. It's the old rail bed coming from, originally from Orillia, and out to the Narrows at Atherley, and then it enters Ramara Township and follows the rail bed right around round to the Rama Road, and eventually it goes up and crosses the Monk Road and towards Rama First Nations. And eventually it's gone north on Rama Road with the cooperation of the county. That trail is built, and eventually it'll go to Cooper's Falls and be hooked up to the bigger trail system. Down in Lagoon City, from Brecon down to Lagoon City, we've got trails. We are improving them. We are taking advantage of getting funding from Simcoe County and trying to hook these, and any future development around Brecon, it'll be tied in with the trails that you can actually walk from Lagoon City up to Brecon, and so we're tying those things all in place.
I'm standing right now on the Hunter Wrestle Trail, and it's a perfect example of linking our communities together. In Midhurst, you can hop on the trail over at the Green Pine Park area or over near the Forest Hill Public School and walk through these beautiful trails, whether it's wintertime or summertime. And then you can go up to our gym that we've just put in this fall and use the outdoor gym equipment. So the idea is that people in Midhurst don't have to travel into a gym. They can just walk the trails, ride the trails, run the trails, go up and use the equipment, and then run back home. And when you look at our society, and we're an aging population, we want to make sure our people stay active and fit. So some of the high impact stuff, you know, people maybe shy away from that, but everyone can go for a walk and everyone can participate. We have a lot of dog lovers out in Midhurst, and we all walk our dogs, so it's nice to be able to go out with your family, your dog, toboggan, have fun. It is multi-use. You can ride your bikes through here, you can walk through here. We don't allow motorized vehicles through here. There are trails in the county area for that, but yes, definitely we have OFSC trails running through our township, and you can link to these trails as well if you walk through Green Pine and head over towards the other side of Midhurst.
Gravenhurst is quite involved in active transportation. We have several trails, walking and hiking trails, which we're on one right now, and we do support keeping the maintenance of the trails open, and also the connectivity into our downtown and from our downtown out. So we're trying to get in and out by using active transportation. The health benefits, help us all, but the economic benefits, being able to get from one community to the next, going down the Trans-Canada Trail, which is a great linkage between communities, has been a wonderful thing for us, and we work pretty hard on ours. We also have a bridge that goes across Highway 11. We're the only ones that have the hiking, walking, biking trail that goes across the highway, so you not only can connect, there's no barriers to get to the other side.